Dear Rentals Club members, thank you for joining us for this session. I'm now with Bess Haputpong. She's the VP of Business Development for Igloohome. Igloohome provides solutions for things like self-check-in. As you may know now, not only are platforms like Airbnb enforcing new cleanliness standards, but they also really want you to provide things like self-check-in, enabling guests to come inside your home without meeting anyone. Igloohome is Singapore-based, but obviously has solutions for around the world. Their products are available in different countries. And what we're going to be talking about is trends first, because as you can imagine, through their tools and their automation, Igloohome is able to have data to see what's going on. They've only been able to see the crisis, but they can only see the path to recovery. We'll be talking about return on investment. You may have costs increasing now because you have to apply these new cleanliness standards. So how can automation, how can solutions like Igloohome help you out to decrease these costs? Also, we'll be talking about why this is making properties more attractive nowadays. Maybe solutions like self-check-in sounded like something to have on top of what you already had, maybe to attract just business travelers. Why is it important now? So without further ado, I'm welcoming Bess. Bess, thank you so much for being here, and how are you?
Thank you for having me, and hi everyone. I am doing very well here out of Singapore. As you can see, working from home like most of us around the world. Yeah.
So I talked about how your solution, how Igloohome can see data, trends, and enable self-check-in. And maybe for a lot of people, self-check-in tools are still not familiar. So maybe to be more concrete, what we could start out with looking at what the solutions, the products you have, and then quickly switch to the trends and the data and the return on investment. If you're okay with that.
Sure. Perfect. Yeah. So I think before us talking a lot about what we think, let me sort of show you a couple of quick short presentation, I promise, on what Igloohome is, like what we do and what we've been helping hosts around the world do since 2016. So just give me a quick moment to sort of set up this. So here we go. Igloohome, that's how you spell our company name. We believe that eventually the world will no longer have keys, and so that's our mission statement. My name is Bess, as I have been introduced. So we have started since 2016 here out of Singapore, and really what we wanted to do when we first started was we wanted to deliver innovative solutions to help homeowners and property managers around the world better manage their properties in a remote fashion without having to be there. So as you can see down at the bottom, what that means is over the years, we have worked closely with a lot of our partners in the short-term rental space to provide a seamless automated check-in, check-out process for guests, so that hosts can focus on other more important things in order to drive revenue from this business. We are located around the world. I mean, of course, this is, as you can see here in our HQ in Singapore, that's where we are in this little island. But that being said, we have teams that sit out around the world, both for operations, sales, and R&D, and even customer support. So we are a very global company. Without further ado, this is essentially the product that we are offering to everyone that wants to buy one for their property. So starting on the left-hand side, right, as you can see, they are essentially a range of smart access solutions, from a padlock to a key box to what I have here, to deadbolts and mortises, which are really mainly for your doors in order for you to allow guests and visitors or yourself to come in and go without having to carry keys anymore. And so the good thing about the solution and how it helps a property manager like yourself is essentially you have this mobile app or a web dashboard that you could go in and generate new time-based PIN codes, Bluetooth keys, and send it to your guests or visitors, and they can just show up to your property without having to collect or pick up keys elsewhere and just go in. So they just need to walk up, type in the PIN code that was given to them, and boom, they're in. So a lot of guys in the industry have been doing this also. We're not the only one, but what makes us sort of different is that we have this technology called an algo pin. So it's essentially a pin code technology based on algorithm and time synchronization. So what, in short, this really means for a homeowner like you is you don't need to connect a device to your home Wi-Fi or have connectivity on the lock itself. So one, that means you can install them pretty much almost anywhere in your properties that may not have a Wi-Fi set up. And two, you don't need to worry about the shortened battery life on connected devices because these things easily go up to 1 to 1.5 years of use before you need to swap out for a new fresh pair of batteries. Yeah. So how we go a step further with the vacation rental space is we are integrated into a lot of these platforms, such as Airbnb, Booking, a lot of other PMS, where as long as you manage your properties to those platforms and you have one of our devices, we will automatically pull the reservation details and actually generate a PIN code tied to that reservation and send it out to the guest or visitor so that they could come in, punch in that PIN code for their stay, and then when they leave, the PIN code will automatically expire and it's already be pre-configured. So that sort of helps, and we've been doing this since 2016, so it's nothing new, but it's been more or less accelerated because of this whole pandemic and the push for a more contactless experience, right? So in terms of just a quick wrap up on that before we move on to the more interesting questions. Essentially, like what it's going to look like, right? So if you have the range that we have here, this is essentially on your door. As you can see, this lady here will use her phone, or she can also use the PIN code to go in. We have a bigger mortise, which is suitable for some of the Asia Pacific countries that have these kind of locking mechanism. We also have the key box, which is what I have here, which is our by far #1 most popular best-selling product among vacation rental, because it is, regardless of whatever door and locking system you have, you can use this. So essentially, you don't need to change anything. You can convert your property into a rental property pretty much overnight just with one of these devices. So this is our key box. Looks in different settings and configuration. And last but not least, this is a padlock in case you have gates, shed, garages that you also need to lock up that can't really use the other configuration of locks. So yeah, I mean, that's essentially here we are. I know today we're addressing a very particular demographic across Asia Pacific as a whole. So of course, that's where we are very strong in because this is where we are based. It's a home ground. So let's chat about other trends and stuff. And of course, if this is of an interest to you, happy to share more after through contact details, and other venues.
Thanks a lot, Bess, because also to be clear to the watchers, right, we are really about providing value, actionable insights in this conference. And
yes.
And I really thought, I went out and contacted Igloohome myself, because I thought, wow, we have to show what products, because people talk about, self-check-in, but what is self-check-in? I think it's very important just to illustrate this. And I think Igloohome being a regional actor, global actor, but you said is the
regional focus, yeah.
I think it would just make sense. Again, it's not to push the products, but I think it's really helpful to understand what are we really talking about, especially it's not going to be talking more about the concepts and consequences. And I think what I really liked as well is to see the notion of there's just this hardware, but also you showed the server, right? The Igloohome server. Can you maybe explain what happens, what kind of data is going through this?
So that's very interesting, right? I mean, essentially, all our servers, as encrypted as they all are, essentially what it does, it enables our backend system to allow a lot of hosts and homeowners to generate all these sort of various time-sensitive PIN codes, and it could be used to host a guest. It could also be used to let in short-term visitors, to your house for whatever reason. So we do. I think in a way have a lot of understanding of the market and what has been majorly impacted as this COVID broke out back in March.
Yeah, and what I found so very interesting as well in your last slide, that it's quite, again, it's good to see it because you're like, like the people, making deliveries, which obviously deliveries have boomed as well, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure you should put food deliveries in a box like this, but
Yeah.
what kind of deliveries we're like, yeah, you know what? I will tell the delivery person to just leave this, and wait a couple of hours and pick it up myself. So it's very
Exactly.
interesting as well.
Exactly. Perfect. Yeah.
So I was touching upon the home server, for example, because it does mean that Igloohome is really, really well placed to see some trends, right?
Sure.
So what have you seen more of or less of during this crisis? And also, how about this path of recovery? What are you seeing right now?
Great questions. And I think, just to kick off the whole trend, I think by no surprise, everyone in this call and everyone around the world would know already, just given the announcement of all the government regulations that, one of the industries that are going to be severely impacted would be your international and domestic hospitality sector, right? So what we have seen, especially with the customers, both individual home owners and also the more like at scale property managers who are doing this for a business is that they suddenly overnight have very low demand on holiday homes, or almost absolutely no more demand, resulting in a lot of cancellation of future bookings, which on our side we also have to accommodate and sort of see that disappear. And I think we're not actually back yet. Unfortunately, across the world, we're still seeing data that reflects this trend that it would continue for quite some time, unfortunately. But that being said, I mean, interestingly, right, people are quick and nimble on their feet. They do like look out and then see new demands and opportunities. So what we've been seeing is that a lot of the properties are getting repurposed. Either they're being let out and sublet it or rent it out on a more long-term basis. And I've been talking like a couple of months, or they're getting repurposed and given out to a facility manager who then would recontract it to essential service workers, healthcare facilities, especially those properties that may be located closer to a hospital or healthcare facilities, right? So we're seeing quite a number of those as well. So I think it's it's sort of very interesting here. And this as a tangent, right? We don't just service the sort of holiday home or short-term rental industry as a whole. We also look at real estate, and by real estate, I'm really talking about renting, buying properties, so the more traditional sort of real estate business that everyone may be familiar with. We also have visibility into those industries as well, because a lot of them are our customers on our platforms. And so what we see in that is that obviously everything came to a halt. Once the whole announcement came out, there was a lot of panic. No one did want to do anything because it was just too scary to do anything. But then now that we're all getting used to this new normal, a lot of them are starting to pick up in terms of activities. We're seeing automation being used, not just from hardware like ours, but also a lot of software services being layered on top to enable contactless viewing, contactless payment, transfer of ownerships, renting, leasing, all sorts of stuff. So I think that's what we're going to definitely see with vacation rental properties as well in upcoming weeks or months.
So that's really interesting as well, because Igloohome obviously is very involved into innovation, and I think even a big initiative called Smart City, I think, right? That
Yes.
or the Smart Singapore, obviously very innovative there.
Yeah. Good point. I mean, I think within the Smart City initiative, there are a lot of automation and budget previously being dispersed to sort of improve a lot of what we currently see. It could be transportation system, it could be a lot of the infrastructure side. So wherever there's a touching point, something that has to be locked up, an access point that has to be shared, we're there as well. So we are sort of in the forefront of driving the Smart City initiative for all the countries that we exist in. Yeah.
So you just talked about as well about shared things, shared spaces. So so what do you think is going to happen? Because I think shared spaces obviously is a tricky topic, right? If, you can imagine if you're a resident in a building. I've seen this happen. I've heard this from different property managers in the world. Like some people are not very happy, residents not very happy to have strangers in a building, in the shared spaces. It's not just about wearing a mask. It's also about like enabling things or making sure some people are there or not. So what about short-term rentals? What about villas? What's going to happen? What makes them a good format, for example, for
Yeah, I think just before we had this session, right? You and I were talking, and I think one of the point that we really agreed on is that once we sort of look into the near future of relaxation of governmental policies around travel. I mean, of course, no one's going to be flying cross-border anytime soon, but what will pick up first would be the domestic travel industry, right? I mean, I think back within the global financial crisis, we observed more or less the same trend. People who would travel would still pick to travel locally or closer to home, and then the nature of these travel, the profile of these travelers, right, tend to be families of larger groups, or they tend to, or if they're friends or couples traveling, if they're now looking inward to travel, they may seek out more unique value for money options, and that's exactly where we definitely see these holiday home and short-term properties benefiting the most. So one thing that they have that hotels don't have is they actually have this advantage of not having a lot of common and shared facilities or amenities, and so for that reason they're able to adhere to this ongoing social distancing measure that we will see for sure like continue into the next couple of months. So that's definitely what we see. And I think having villas or holiday homes, or even like apartments, right, there it allows you creativity and flexibility to make it a more unique experience, to make it a holiday in a way, as opposed to a more standard like hotel offering. Nothing wrong with that. I just feel that people would prefer a more unique travel experience, and I think strategically short-term rental companies, operators are best suited to sort of offer this experience.
And so it's short-term rentals obviously are well suited for this kind of a new demand of being together, basically, or being able to see your friends again together, but a small group in a like bubble,
exactly.
right? Own bubble, right? So perfect.
Exactly, and yeah.
That's right.
No. I was just, it was interesting, right? Because I think one of the trends that we're seeing as well, especially out in the Nordics area where they're a little bit more relaxed in their regulation, is that people are looking to do more outdoor activities. So we're seeing a huge surge in bicycle rentals, in rentals of like kayaks or like water sports and activities in that area. So if you are, an operator not just offering only homes and property like bed space, right, but you look into other peripheral offerings to make their travel experience the best possible one, we have solutions that you could lock up all these stuff, but I'm sure there are also other solutions out there which can make this a possibility and a reality for you. So I would sort of look into that as well.
So that's a possibility to increase revenues, for example. But and that's a solution to do that. But of course, there's also a notion of decreasing costs, I believe, right? As we were chatting a bit at the beginning of the in the introduction, is that cleanliness standards, for example, are supposed to increase, right? New like stronger products should be used, and maybe cleaners will have to spend more time. I don't think anyone listening here watching today is kind of a person who had before the crisis a dirty place anyway, because you're talking to professional side of the industry. But still, there are expectations, and there are that costs will increase. So how can here self check-in, automation, how can they help maybe decrease costs?
It's very interesting, and this is not a question that we've been answering just during the pandemic. We have been answering since the beginning of our product launch back in 2016. And the really short of it is you don't really see it, but like operationally, you do like a typical host do spend a lot of money and time in arranging check-in, check-out processes, handling and exchanging of keys, whether they do it themselves or they outsource it to someone to do it, or they get their neighbors to do it. There is still a cost component that's involved in that whole process. So decreasing operational costs by having one of these little devices in there. I mean, I think we ran a study early on when we first started offering this into the market, that one of this devices, not just this one, like similar products as well, you could easily recover the cost of investment within a couple of bookings, and then after then on, it just directly will benefit you in terms of the reduction in operational costs that you see. So that's definitely where I'm coming at, and of course as we go on to a more relaxed world, as Thibault mentioned, right? Like the having check-in, automated check-in, contactless check-in. I don't think this would be no longer like a nice to have. It used to be. So I mean, those of you who are managing this professional, you must know already on a lot of the platforms, having a smart lock or having an automated 24/7 check-in, check-out process used to be required if you wanted to be listed as a business ready property, right? Because the nature of business travelers is they come and go whatever time. They're not going to stay around and try to coordinate for a key pickup time. But that used to be a nice to have. But now going into post the pandemic, it definitely would probably be a more on the mandatory side. Make sure you have this so you don't have a lot of people meeting different strangers just to pass on keys. So we do see it on both front that regulatory, like the regulations would mandate for you to have a technology like this. At the same time, don't really worry about it. Make your own calculations. But on our side, we have done this before in the past. We have helped thousands of hosts around the world do this, more than that. But essentially, you can recover the cost in just a couple of bookings. Yeah, you can really do that. And then here on out, like it would just be direct cost savings to your bottom line. Yeah.
That's really great advice, Bess. And you also have this gem. I don't know if to make it very also pop out, I will use an example, right? For my property in Bali, we try to attract, let's say, affluent people, people from Singapore who would come for a few days but still have to work, right? So obviously, for my property, I really wanted to make sure that they were part of what you just said. That let's name it Airbnb, for example. To be part of their Airbnb for work collection, you have to have self check-in, for example.
Exactly.
And of course, you have to have a desk and all kind of things. Why did I do that for a leisure home? Well, it's because I'm like, I want to be seen by people who might be booking and think, hey, I'm booking, but I'll be working there. So I want to make sure that. So in my case, it's not. I needed to have the self check-in because I wanted to make sure that my place would be seen by people who wanted a work-friendly place. So it was like something I had to do because of that. And now it's a bit reversed. You have to have self-check-in first, and then, because you have self-check-in, then you'll be shown by Airbnb with this label Airbnb for work, which give you more visibility and more bookings. So this, to your point, right? It's decreasing costs, but also probably giving you even more visibility because of the programs, this platform.
Exactly. I think that's absolutely a great point. And I think for us, right? I mean, a lot of times, the other side of the argument is, we offer a lot of personal touch by showing up, walking them through all the amenities, how to use the oven, how to open the laundry machine, so all these things. But what and I think we recently published about a blog post directly on Igloohome on this as well. Is that we obviously don't just get a smart lock. If you're looking at automating your property, getting it ready to be open up again post-pandemic, there are a bunch of other services or solutions that could help you. So if you do want to have the personal touch to sort of make you stand out from other bookings, you can look into integrating or like using services such as this AI chatbot, automated concierge services that can allow you to communicate with someone real time, even through video. If you wanted to authenticate, make sure this person was really who they said they were. So it's all available. I mean, I think technology these days can enable you to do something without having to be there. And so I really think there's no better. We're not in a better time in history to be able to open up ourselves to this post-pandemic and stand a chance to be successful again. Yeah.
That's great advice. So Best, thank you so much for sharing all the insights today. I think we've been very concrete about what are we talking about, what can you do with it, and from there, what the trends are, and talking about costs, highly attractive property to a lot of kind of people. So if people want to know more about the products or understand a bit more or talk with somebody in the team, what can they do?
I am very contactable myself as well. We do have a website. It's essentially worldwideweb.igloohome.co. .co. Everything is on there. You can find out partners no matter where you are. I'm sure we're there as well. If you can't, for any reason, find us where you are located and you want to get in touch, you can write into me. That's best, best@igloohome.co, or any email you see on the website. We're happy, definitely like to talk to you. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing your personal contact. I think the watchers will appreciate that, and I wish you a great day.
Yes, thank you. Stay safe, everyone.